wants to save some money? Of course, all of us do, right? Well, there's one way you can certainly save some money on your property taxes in the state of Florida, and that is to file for a homestead exemption. When I first start talking to people about filing for homestead, I usually get one of two reactions. The first one is just sort of that nod of, okay, yep, I know what you're talking about. Maybe they either feel like they really know what it's all about or they have a solid handle on it. The other reaction is that sort of crinkled up nose look of like, what are you talking about? So that's why I wanted to do this video, just to make sure for the people in the first camp, they have full clarification, and the people in the second camp, they know what it's all about. So here we go. Number one, homestead definition. Okay, what does homestead mean? Now, when I first mentioned it to those people with the crinkled up nose look, they right away picture a farm, an old farmhouse, acreage. They picture the wild, wild west, people venturing out west. They picture Pa Ingalls building a house there in Walnut Grove. Okay, well, yes, that was, where the term homestead came from originally, but that's not what it means today. So today, what you're saying is if a property is your homestead, that's your primary residence. That's where you live. That's where you registered to vote. That's the county that you're voting in. And in the state of Florida, for a property to be your homestead, you have to be living in it at least 6 months and a day out of the year. So for you folks who want to save income tax, because we have no state income tax, then that's what you need to be doing. You need to be here for 6 months and a day out of the year, and then you can do it. Number two, when to file for homestead. If a property is going to be your primary residence, then you need to file for that homestead. Now, please know you can only file for one property in the United States as it being your homestead. So if you've got a property up in Ohio or in Illinois or California or New York, only one or the other can be your homestead. Now, what you need to do when you want to file for homestead, you need to have been living in the property as of January 1st of that year, and you have to file by March 1st. Now, you can file sooner than that for sure. Don't wait till March 1st, but you have to do that. So for example, let's suppose you buy and close on a house on November 1st. You have to be living in that property. It has to be your primary residence by the end of the year, by January 1st. And then you can file for that homestead at that time. Now, please know it doesn't mean that you have to be staying the night in the house on December 31st and being there January 1st. You can't be on vacation. That's okay. But it's just the idea that you've got your utilities set up, you've got your voter ID set up, you've got everything, maybe you've changed your driver's license, all of that. So it's really important that you jump on those things right away. Number three, what do you need to file for homestead? Now, each county's website really does have a great detailed list on what is required for you to be able to file for a homestead. And I'll put links for Sarasota and Manatee County below, and I'll probably throw in Charlotte County too for you so you can take a look. And often you can just apply online, but there's definitely quite a bit of documentation that you're going to need. And sometimes they'll say you even just need one of these 2 or 3 things. It might not be all of it. But for example, you're going to need a copy of the recorded deed. So if you close at the very end of December, then that deed probably won't be recorded with the county right away. It takes, maybe a week. Sometimes we can get an electronic copy of the deed from the closing agent, but still, if you're closing on December 30th, then it would be, you're not going to apply for homestead like that afternoon. Just, you can wait until early January. That's fine. But you need a copy of the recorded deed, driver's license, voter registration card. You need, like your date of birth, social security number. You need your previous address. There's all these different things you're going to need to provide. And then please know that whoever's on the deed, all those parties need to provide that information. So if you and your spouse are on the deed, both of you need to do it. So don't think that like, oh, well, maybe I can file for homestead here. My name's on the deed here. And then my spouse, they can file for up north. But if both of your names are on the deed here, then you both have to submit that. You can't try to trick the system and try to get homestead in 2 different locations that way. Doesn't work like that. Number 4, why file for homestead? Well, the reason why you file for homestead is it's going to save you money. That's right. So that's why you're watching this video. Well, first of all, let me explain that here we pay for our taxes in arrears. So for 2021, the tax bill actually isn't due until March 1st of 22. Now, for all people, whether you have filed for homestead or not, you actually get a discount if you pay your property taxes early, which can be significant in a lot of cases. So if you pay in November, you get a 4% discount. If you pay that tax bill in December, you get a 3% discount. January 2 and February 1%, and then it's officially due in March. So that's for everybody, homestead or not. It could be your second home, it could be an investment property, it doesn't matter. Now then what happens is maybe in August, September is when the assessed value of the properties come out. And more often than not, the assessed value of a property, again, regardless of whether or not somebody's filed for homestead or not, is going to be less than market value. So keep that in mind as well. So if you're looking at properties and you go, oh, well, the county says, this place is worth $350 and it's listed for $500, well, I'm going to pay $350. That the two have there's no correlation at all. Please don't try to connect them, especially right now with everything changing as fast as it is. So here's how you get the discounts or the advantages when you file for homestead. First of all, like I said, every year properties are going to be assessed. Well, if it is your homestead, then there's a cap on how much that assessed value can go up year over year. And right now, because property values have gone up so much, people who have homestead are taking, this is a huge benefit to them. Now, this is the cap. It's going to be the lesser of two numbers. It's either going to be the consumer price index or 3%. So whichever one of those two numbers it is, and that's going to be the cap. So for instance, in 2019, the consumer price index was 1.9%. So because that's less than 3%, that was the most that the assessed value could go up. Now in 2022, they're saying that the CPI, the consumer price index, is 7%. So the max that assessed value can go up now is 3%. So that is a huge savings to you. So there's our assessed value. Then from there, you can have other benefits. So first of all, the assessed value. So let's say the assessed value of the house is $400,000. Well, then off of that, they're going to take another $50,000 off of it, which is great as well. So now we're down to $350,000. Then, depending on certain circumstances, you could have other exemptions. There's a disability exemption, there's a blind disability exemption, disabled vets. If you're a widow or a widower, you can have some exemptions. And some of the exemptions are maybe another $500 or $1,000, and some of them are quite significant. So it's really to your advantage to take a look at that and see if you're eligible for anything. And again, that's why I'm going to give you the links to the website so you can go check it out, because right now, even if you already have homestead, there could be something that you're missing out on. As I was working on this, I thought of two women I know whose husbands passed away last year, and I want to reach out to them to make sure that they update that by March 1st with the county, because that could be some additional savings for them. So as I'd already mentioned, that as property values are going up significantly like they are so quickly, that having the homestead is a big benefit. Now, if there was a crash, or back, what was it, 13, 14 years ago, when there was a crash and property values dropped, sorry, my dog is barking, when property values dropped significantly, then everybody was sort of at a level playing field. Now, this is what happens when I go and show people properties. They always want to know, Jill, what do the taxes look like? What do you think I'm going to be paying? Always in the end, I tell people I can't tell you what those numbers are going to be, because there's a lot of different variables. But there's some things that we can look at with that property, or maybe some of the neighboring properties, to kind of give us an idea. So for instance, I was showing a house last week, and the people were only paying $400 in property taxes. Well, it ends up that I learned from doing this, that if somebody is 100% disabled, as result, disabled vet, that the assessed value is 0 on the property. So that's why they weren't paying except for the ad valorem taxes, which is a subject for another day. So that's all they were paying. So that was why it was $400. So that didn't give us any direction on, okay, what could they be paying? So then I looked at a couple of the neighboring properties. So I found a property 2 houses down that they were not filing for homestead. And so it gave us an idea. So they were paying like $3,800 a year in taxes. So I told the gentleman, I said, okay, well, then you're going to be looking at paying probably $3,800 to $4,000 a year. And then if you file for homestead, then that's when you're going to start to cap out. Now, if you're looking at somebody and they've had homestead for the last, let's say 5 years or longer, well, that assessed value has been suppressed from what's going on right now with these price increases. So what happens is when you go to sell the property, well, that suppression, that cap is going to be released. So now the property is going to be reassessed to a more current number. And then from there, when you file for homestead, it's not going to continue to go up, but you are going to be paying more than what somebody else who's been homestead, for the last, at least 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So keep that in mind. And I can talk to you more about that if there's a specific property to sort of give you some direction on what that might look like. Number 5, homestead exemption fraud. Okay, so you could be committing fraud and not even realize it. So that's why I wanted to touch on this topic quickly, because things can change and you don't even realize, or you don't even think this all the way through. Number one thing, I think that the one that would be the least obvious thing that you would be doing wrong is if you were to rent out all or part of the property, because you go, well, I'm living here, what's the big deal? But if you rent out a room, if you have a space over a garage, anything like that, that can make you ineligible for this homestead exemption. So be careful with that. So think the Airbnbs, because, I hear, people have got a little section or mother-in-law suite or something like that where they can rent out. But if you do that, then you are no longer eligible to claim a property as your homestead. Now, of course, there's other really obvious things. I mean, if you were to move, if you were to change your residency, like if somebody goes into an assisted living facility permanently, if somebody passes away, if you get married or remarried, you need to look at all of that. So just keep your eye on those things that, and again, these lists are online. So take a look at that, and maybe you want to just refresh yourself on your eligibility of being able to claim a property as your homestead. Because if the county were to find out that you were committing fraud, whether it was ignorantly or intentionally, then you're going to have a lot of fees and fines to pay. And there's also a link online for you to go in and notify the county if you are aware that somebody else is committing fraud, and you can do it anonymously. So if your neighbors are watching, and some people are just nosy like that, they can turn you in for it. So just watch yourself on it. So there we go. The simple nuts and bolts of filing for homestead and what it is all about. Now, if you want more detail, this is a statewide thing. It's not like county by county, but you do file within your county. You don't file with the state, but it's Florida Statutes 196. And I'm going to put a link to that below, because if you really want to dig in and see what the state of Florida says directly about it, you can take a look at that. Well, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I do bring videos about living here in the Sunshine State. Now today it's very sunny, but it is cold out. It's in the 40s. I actually have my back door here cracked open a little bit, so if you heard any road noise, I apologize for that, but I'm just trying to enjoy the crisp, cool air, because this is very, very rare for us. But yeah, so I bring videos about living in the Sunshine State, the Sarasota area, and of course, I love talking about real estate. So if this has been on your radar, then please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, when you do have more questions, whether it's about homestead or anything else, then please give me a call, text, or email me. I'm here to help you out as you try to figure things out, make those really important decisions. And if in the end you decide, hey, Jill, the Sarasota area is just not for me, please know I have got great networking partners, if you will, in other parts of the state. I got my go-to person in the Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete area. I've got my go-to person up in Orlando, Naples, Fort Myers. So I can help you out and connect you to somebody else who's high quality, so you don't feel like you're just sort of picking in the dark. So I'm here to help you with all of those things. Well, thanks again. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Have a great day.